This article is on biology and it relates to the fact that we are discovering uh, the complexity that's involved has some attributes that are unexpected and go against standard Darwinian theory. And this is about the fact that the boundaries between genetic material are not as uh, absolute as we thought. So, for example, it was assumed by Wiseman that you would not be able to affect the reproductive genetic genes by genes that were non-reproductive. A bit like the DNA of worker bees would not be able to affect the DNA of the queen bee because there was no interface between those two. But it appears that things are not quite so straightforward, and that in fact there is in fact some degree of capacity going on here for genetic information to be passed in ways that we had not realized. Well, without going into the detail, there is a fundamental principle here. And the principle that interests me is this: we are not wise to assume that our limited knowledge of biology would allow us to be able to make authoritative statements about things and say that we know that such and such is true. And this isn't just true of biology, it's true of chemistry, it's true of physics. In fact, any body of knowledge, the fundamental reality is that we simply don't know enough to make those comments. Now, it's fair to say that in the realm of biology, the last 20 years with us mapping the genetic code has given us a real significant increase in the profile of knowledge that we do have. And therefore, it wouldn't be surprising if that dramatic increase in knowledge would allow us to interrogate and probably overthrow previous ideas. And it's that's what we've found. And one of the reasons why intelligent design has become so popular amongst scientists is because it seems to be the obvious response to the level of complexity we now see, because in the last 20 years we've been able to, as it were, drill into the genetic code in a way that we didn't before 2000 because of genetic mapping. Now, it's fair to say as well that the majority of biologists are still wedded to Darwin's theory of evolution, but there's now an increasing number of biologists and other scientists who have observed the real evidence of the last 20 years and said, no, that's not possible. And this particular paper is an example of how the increasing understanding we have in these areas is beginning to unpick certain dogmatic statements that were made, in this case, by Professor Wiseman in the 19th century. And it really does beg a belief that we should base our scientific theories in biology on things that were generated in the 19th century. And that was the basis of Behe's book, Darwin's Black Box. Darwin had no knowledge of what was inside the genetic material of the cell. To him, it was a black box. So why would we base our understanding of biology on someone who had such a limited knowledge of biology? It would be much wiser to look at the evidence afresh, putting to one side hypotheses that we've held dear for a century and a half, and just objectively ask the question, what am I seeing? Is it more consistent with intelligent design or with evolution? And put to one side all those emotional baggage that we've had, that maybe we've been brought up taught that evolution is true, and look at what we're actually seeing. And this paper is one of many papers in the biology section which indicates that what we're seeing is material that's not consistent with the dogmas of evolution, but it is consistent with a wonderful creator who made things with great flexibility, great ingenuity, and great design. Thank you for listening.